Hey, my name is Jonathan Steele with Premier Mortgage Resources. I am here today with Miss Kristina Peacock from Exit Global Realty. We're here to talk today just a little bit about why it's important who you work with. So, Kristina, thanks for jumping on this call with me. I want you to be able to kind of just share a little bit about your experience because we've had some comments about people working with what we call discount agents versus working with somebody who's charging a little bit more for their services. Why do you feel that's important? Just share a little bit about that experience.
Sure. So there's nothing wrong with discount agents. It's really a matter of that's maybe a correlation, not a connection there. So just because you're a discount agent doesn't mean you give, you know, less superior service. But
Mhm.
sometimes when you're only looking at price, you don't notice the other factors that make someone a good agent. And so those are, having knowledge of the area, being very well versed in the new contracts, and being able to negotiate.
Sure. So what did I know we had some comments on a Facebook group that we're both in, and you kind of had that experience where somebody was using somebody who wasn't as knowledgeable, wasn't that real professional, and then they used you, and there was a real benefit in using somebody who does a more of a full service kind of offering. I mean, it's what do you see the big difference is? Because it looks like even though you're charging more for your services, there's a big benefit to sellers using somebody who knows what they're doing.
Exactly. So, first of all, let me ask you this. If you needed surgery, okay,
Mhm.
and you had a surgeon that was going to offer to do that surgery for $1,000, or you could go with the surgeon that was charging $50,000, which surgeon would you most likely go to? Well, I have a feeling that most people would start thinking, what exactly is that surgeon doing for $1,000 that he can
Yeah.
do the surgery for $1,000? And
Yeah.
sometimes that's how it is when we're looking at any type of vendor. We don't always want to go with the lowest price because the old adage is an old adage that you get what you pay for because you get what you pay for. So you may worry about that $1,000 surgeon. You may worry about his credentials, his experience, you know, what his you know, success rate is. And
Hmm.
so it's the same thing in real estate. So the example that I had put on our first time homebuyer group was an instance where a new investor, a new investor was flipping his first home. And so he had called me because I came recommended to him from another investor. And we talked briefly, and then the guy ghosted me. And I was like, yeah, you win some, you lose some. And a few months later, I get a phone call from him again. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And I'm very frank. I'm just like, yeah, so you're gonna ghost me again? And he's like, no, 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 let me tell you what happened. And I'm like, so what happened? And he's like, well, I ended up after I talked to you, this was my first one. And I went with an agent that was a discount agent. He was a new agent. So two things there that make you at least ask more questions. Not that working with a discount agent is wrong or working with a new agent is wrong, but they at least invite more questions as you as a consumer that he obviously did not ask. And so he ended up listing with that agent. And I don't know the details of everything that went sideways, but he ended up losing about $30,000 in profit, is what he told me. So when he had the next property come up, he said, oh, let me call that lady that knows what she's doing. So
Yeah.
he did. And we have since listed two or three more of his investment properties. And he's very pleased because he's like, you guys are already leaps and bounds in knowledge ahead of, where the other guy was. So you may have thought you were saving a little, but really in the end, you're not really saving that much. Pay to do it once correctly, or you can pay and do it twice and have a headache.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, that's great because it's I think a big question right now. I mean, since August 17th changes, a lot of people are concerned about saving money, doing what they can to not pay 3%, 6%, whatever you're negotiating with that agent, and that does sometimes lead to cutting corners. Not that new agents are bad, because there's people who are becoming real estate agents now that are
Yeah,
going to be phenomenal agents later on down the road. They just don't have that experience yet, or they just haven't had the
exactly.
chance to like prove their chops. Um,
Well, and the experience is so, I mean, it is so pivotal to being successful. That's why at Exit Global, we take on new agents. We take them on sparingly because they are, a lot of investment for us. But
yep.
if we see that you've got the hunger, but we make sure that we're along your side. You're not doing your first transaction by yourself. You're not doing your third transaction by yourself.
Mhm.
Every transaction in real estate is goes a little different. It might have the same skeleton, same framework, but how that meat is put on the bones is completely different in every scenario. And
Yeah.
so we want to make sure that our new agents have got that backup of having a seasoned agent. We don't want to say an old agent.
Yeah.
A seasoned agent, with them along the way so that, and obviously this other fella did not have that advantage of having someone seasoned in their corner.
Yeah.
So I wanted to tell you too, Jonathan, I've been hearing, a lot with the percentages and, everything as well, and, reading the trades and stuff. And, you know, most of my counterparts, my other agents in other cities and other states, not just Exit, but the good agents, the very successful agents, they're actually getting more than 3% on the sell side. They're getting more than 3% on the buy side. This, everyone thinks that this somehow has capped things.
Yeah.
Um, you know, commissions were always negotiable. Agents limited ourselves at always saying 6%. And
Hmm.
so now my, my top producer friends, they're all making, 3 to 7% on one side of the transaction. So it didn't really, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I mean, we're only a
Oh
couple months
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
But
It'll be
who's
interesting to see going forward what that looks
yeah,
like. It'll be bumpy, but it'll be all right.
the other side of it, Jonathan, too, is that you and I were kind of talking earlier is that people are like, oh, I'll just buy the house myself. I don't need representation.
Mhm.
And that is a huge fallacy unless you are a contracts expert, unless you are an attorney familiar with real estate, unless you are a real estate expert. It is literally like going into court and letting the prosecutor represent you. You
Yeah.
know, if especially, if you're going in and buying a listing that is represented by an agent, why on earth would you try and do that yourself? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not giving myself a root canal. It's not my expertise, you know.
Yeah.
So, and buying a house is single most expensive thing that, you're typically going to do,
Yeah.
as a citizen. And so I don't know. I don't want to be responsible for, my plumbing. Why would you want to be responsible for knowing everything there is to know
Yeah.
in a housing transaction?
Yeah,
To think,
unless you're a contract expert or you're a lawyer yourself, like I would be, you're opening yourself up to lawsuits and issues trying to navigate all those things using Google. You know, like
yeah,
it's not, it's like I'm not a I'm not the kind of person that understands all the legal jargon. You need somebody who's like in those contracts day in, day out to be able to help you stay protected and have your best interest in hearts when you're trying to negotiate those deals with the sell side or buy side. I mean, vice versa, you know?
Yeah, either way. I mean, when you are representing yourself as a, as a listing, I say that's like going into court unrepresented. And and we know what the old adage is on that.
Yep.
So, you know, it, you wouldn't want me coming into your place of work and just saying, "Oh, I know how to do that." And and think I'm going to do it successfully. It's because you've been trained. Like, I
Mhm.
can't do mortgages. I mean, I know a little bit, I know enough to get me in trouble, right?
Yeah.
I know enough to give someone the guidance to call a professional. you
Yeah.
know I don't talk about rates. I don't talk about types of loans. I just say, here's someone who has the knowledge that you need to move forward in this arena. And
Yeah.
that's literally my job as a as a realtor, is to guide and be a resource. I am not the one with all the answers, but I know the names of the professionals for you to call.
Yeah. And that's what matters. I mean, that's like, I don't know all the answers, but I know where to find them and I know who to talk to, you know, and
Mhm.
I think that's ultimately what matters. And that's how you know you're getting somebody who cares about giving you the right answers. Like they're not just pretending they know them and going and looking at themselves. They actually know somebody and they're comfortable enough with themselves to be able to pass that off to somebody who can properly answer those questions. So
Exactly.
that's great. We're going to run out of time on this Zoom call, so we're going to end it there. If you have any questions, you're looking to purchase, Kristina is in the New Smyrna Beach area here in Florida. Clearly a fantastic agent, knows her stuff, and wants to be able to help you be successful. And if you need a pre-approval or you got some questions on your mortgage, feel free to drop a call. I'll put both of our contact info in the description of this video below. So that's all I've got today. Thank you so much, Kristina. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.